So right there tells what stage it's in. Zones tells what stage each room wants, not. So if this is a 2-stage and that's a 2-stage, but there's only 2 of them that are 2-stage, that one will be 1-stage. So this one takes precedence. Okay. So right now we have several that are okay and several that are on calling for 1-stage. So our furnace is 1-stage. That was zones that I pushed. So go over to HVAC, multi-stage control, 3 degrees. Can't even see that, can you? There we go. 3 degrees above set point. If there's a demand that's 3 degrees above set point, then it'll switch to the next stage, which the next stage is two flames, so the second stage. Or if it's 30 minutes, if you push this down to immediate, then it'll go straight into second stage, won't wait for that at all. If you have that at 30 minutes and put this at set point, it'll go straight into second stage, won't wait for 30 minutes. So 3 degrees is okay to start. So we'll go, say we want to force it into first stage. Okay, so first of all, let's just look at these. 60, 62, 67, 70, they're pretty well rounded. So if we want to force first stage only, let's just go to 8 degrees. So now it's going to take 8 degrees of heat in order for it to go into first stage. Now we have our 2 that are already there. We want to add, rename it to temp. New program. Now we have all of this. So we'll edit it. Edit, and for first stage only, we just want to be, 3 or 4 degrees above set points in all the rooms. Okay. Done. Temp. Now we have to change the schedule. Change it to temp. Now we're in temp, and so we look at this, 71 degrees, all of them. These guys are all, 3 or 4 degrees-ish. These 2, however, is 11 degrees, so those are going to call for second stage. So let's override that, and we'll just go something like that, 61 degrees, and override that one. So now they're within a couple degrees, so those shouldn't be calling for second stage, maybe first stage. Saver shouldn't need anything, and the rest of them all look like they're a nice temperature. Okay, so it just switched. By the way, changing from one schedule to another does take some time. So finally switched. We are in second stage. Also, always make sure you're in heat, because if it's in cool, that's just frustrating when it doesn't come on to heat and you're waiting and waiting and waiting. Okay, so 1-stage heat. Now, if you want to force it into a higher stage, then just go into programs, edit your schedule, edit, and just go up, really high. So 84 is going to be at least 15 degrees. Zones, 84 degrees. So 70 degrees, that's 14 degrees above set point. So after it takes a little bit of time to engage, then all these will switch into second stage. That one will switch into second stage as well. So alternatively, let's go and make this back to the way it was, sort of. Okay, so 3 degrees, 30 minutes. Now let's go back into our schedule, temp. When I'm doing a maintenance and I want the cooling to come on, I want to force cooling come on. Now I want you to notice, it just kicked in a second stage, by the way. I want you to notice that all of the rooms are selected here. Okay, so you select one, it's got a blue ring all the way around. Anyways, so that means if you edit this and you get your cooling, you want your cooling to come on, you can go clear down to 50 degrees or something drastic, it doesn't matter. Push done. Done all the way out. Go to your zones. Look at that, cooling set for 54 degrees. So now your cooling is going to come on all of them. So what's nice about all of them calling for cooling now is that all of your dampers, your bladders, all your bladders are going to open. When your bladder's open, then you have the least amount of restriction, airflow restriction. So it's going to be the most, the most optimal testing scenario that you can get. Anyway, after some time, these are all going to switch over to cool, and it will turn on cool. So let's say we're all done with our testing. Go to standard, okay? So that's up here. Then we go to programs, and we need to delete our temporary. Delete, done. Now, I want to point something out. When you add a schedule, okay, then just make sure that it's not selected, the wrong one, before you edit. I've done that before. I've started changing things, didn't remember what it was before I started changing it. So just make sure that your temporary one is selected before you start selecting, because it doesn't say, it doesn't say schedule V, or select zones for scheduling V. It's either the same either way. Okay, delete that. So another thing, if you have, well, we could get into a lot of different things. If you have trouble and you need tech support, this EMME system is important. Our dealer code right here is our phone number with periods. So they need that, and they need that code. They also, they need Wi-Fi. So you need to be on the Wi-Fi, whether it's on your phone's mobile spot or if it's on the home's internet. Now, if you want to get somebody's phone on the internet, so they can control this from the phone, first you need to download the EMME app or go to their website. I'm not sure where the link is on their website anyways. The EMME app works good. Go to connect, put in any email address. So mine could be dennis@cci.com or dennis@climatecontrollink.com or whatever. dennis@freddys.com. Doesn't matter. Password, put whatever password you want. It doesn't matter. It's just an identification with a password. It's not your email's password. Then, when you're logging onto your phone, you will need this EMME system. It's called your thermostat. Your thermostat is EMME system. So thermostat is 803. Okay. HVAC override control, always do for 2 hours. Saver set points should be 60 and 85. Zone control, this is all normal airflow is normally at 100. Looks like somebody's changed it. So equipment limits, I disable plenum temperature for 160 degrees. Yeah, not 190. Okay, so with any conventional zoning, you have this option. This is not an option. It's built into the zone board. It's your plenum sensor. So like a Honeywell has a plenum sensor you mount in your supply duct. If it gets too hot, then it stops and purges. Just runs the fan until that temperature, the plenum temperature, gets down below, whatever. It's usually set at like 140 or something like that. Plenum for cooling is 40. So this is just matching what normal zoning is. This, you have the option of changing it, where with normal zoning you don't. So always leave those selected. Default temperatures are good. Yeah, that's pretty much that. Sensors has a signal. They're all pretty good. The family room looks like it's low. Probably not because the battery's getting dead. Probably just because the location's bad, or at least not optimal setup. You can go into HVAC. Yes, you want to make changes that could damage things. Make sure your plenum sensor's active. That temperature we were talking about, 160 degrees, that's where you get it. It does tell you that temperature. So if you don't have your temperature sensor in and you're doing your PM, you can say, hey, that's what my supply air is. So here's where your staging is. Options are pretty useless because we never have any of those. So zones, this is important stuff here. So these are the valves. When I do an upgrade or when a system fails, this is always the stuff that I really depend on. So this is the type of stuff that is really nice to have a record of, written down. And then the sensors, it's also nice to have record of which sensor is, because somebody can, maybe it's living room in Sharpie marker, so they just rub off the Sharpie marker and write, Jenna's room or something. And so now they move it up into a different area, and so now you have to figure out which one it is. So, having all this stuff written down is pretty nice. Advanced, the only real command I know, advanced command, reboot. If you're having problems, you can reboot it. Works better than turning power off, turning power back on. Software updates, we don't need to worry about that. It's updated about once every decade. So, outdoor temperature, doesn't need an outdoor sensor because this is gotten from the internet in setup. It has the address, that's where it gets it from, is the airport at that, or the weather channel at that zip code. Auto, this system you can put it on heat only or cool only, which is kind of nice. Living room, that is gotten from zones. So living room is highlighted, so somebody has selected it and made it the display. So living is the display. Let's talk about one more thing. So we talked about a 2-hour override. So cancel, this is following the schedule right here at 60 degrees. If you touch it, you can override it. That is going to be for your 2 hours. Then it will be blue. If you override it as blue, you can cancel that. If you go to a smart controller and you push the up-down button on it, and then it'll override, it'll be blue, and then you can cancel it here. Same with saver. This one, the person has Jack's bedroom set on saver. I can cancel that, but they actually probably want that on saver, so I'm going to leave it. So